This is Renaissance History Lesson 2, and today we're doing the factors that led to the Renaissance. One of the factors was the fall of Constantinople. It was a city located in around modern-day Turkey, and it was the capital of the Eastern Roman Empire, also known as the Byzantine Empire, and it was named after Constantine I. And Ottomans were originally Turkish nomads who settled in the Anatolian Peninsula, and they converted to Islam. Leading up to the siege, they controlled lots of territory surrounding the Byzantine Empire and eventually conquered it all, except for Constantinople, which came last. In the 1450s, the Byzantine Empire had been in decline for many years already, and most of the area surrounding Constantinople had already been conquered by Ottomans, though the city was still very well protected with 4 miles of Theodosian walls, which were built during the reign of Emperor Theodosian. During this time period, the Ottomans already expanded into Eastern Europe and the Islamic states. The Ottomans were led by Sultan Mehmed II and had around 50 to 80,000 troops, including 5 to 10,000 janissaries, which were elite units and were one of the first standing armies in Europe. They also had a fleet of 126 Ottoman ships outside of Constantinople. The Byzantines had a lot smaller of an army. They were led by Constantine XI and had around 7,000 troops. They sent pleas of help to many other European states, but received very little due to them being most of Europe being Catholic and them being Orthodox. One of the first attempts to breach the walls were with very large cannons that the Ottomans constructed. They were shot at the walls, but very little damage was done due to how thick the walls actually were. They also tried to dig tunnels, but they were discovered by John Grant, which was a German tunneler who were hired by the Byzantines. During the final assault, the final assault was very rushed due to Ottomans fearing Christian reinforcements from Europe, and they launched a full-scale attack on Constantinople. And due to the Byzantines being heavily outnumbered, they were eventually overran and defeated. The city was plundered for 3 days straight, with Emperor Constantine also being slain in battle. During the aftermath, it was renamed to Istanbul and became the new capital of the Ottoman Empire until its collapse after World War I. And the Hagia Sophia was turned to a mosque, which was originally a church centered in the city, but due to Ottomans being Islamic, it was converted. This also opened up a trade route between Europe and Asia, and many scholars that lived in Constantinople fled to the Italian peninsula, carrying texts from antiquity, and this eventually started the Renaissance. Another factor that led to the Renaissance was the Black Death. It happened in the early 1330s. It was when a plague broke out from China. It mainly affected rodents, and it was spread from police to people. So first, when the rats get infected first, the flea The flea drinks the rat's blood, and the bacteria multiplies in the flea's gut, and as soon as the flea bites a human, it causes it regurgitates blood into an open wound and causes the human to be infected. The 4 types of the plague were bubonic, pneumatic, septemic, and eternic, with the bubonic being the least fatal. It originally came from outside of Europe, and though it killed off lots of Europe, it also devastated non-European populations as well. The bubonic plague was even used as a war tactic with Mongols, throwing infected bodies over the walls of a city to try to infect the city with it, and so it'll be easier to take over. The plague happened mainly due to the Mongol conquest and the Silk Road opened up. When the Mongols conquered all this land, they opened up the Silk Road to allow trade to go through, but it also carried the disease with them, and it spread very rapidly. It also hit the Italian trade routes from all over the Mediterranean Sea. Here's a chart of like when sorry, I'm back. So here's a chart of when the plague first started affecting European lands. In Africa, around 80 to 68 million people died. In Asia, 123 to 65 million. In Italy, 60% of the people died. In France, it varied from 15 to 60%. Scandinavia, 50% of the people died. Everyone in Greenland died, and at the end, a third to the half of the world population died from it. In the city of Florence, 100,000 people died. And many people blame the Jewish people. Many Europeans blame the Jewish people for the plague, and there's lots of anti-Semitic things going on at this time with their wells being poisoned and them being chased out. Though the plague was very devastating, it did allow Europe to have it gave Europe a fresh start. And due to the many deaths, it caused the economy and social structure to change for the better. Trading was slowed, but eventually it would recover. And feudalism was no longer the main type of government due to this. Common people gained more power. There were need for more workers and better pay. It caused the start of Renaissance, and all these factors eventually caused the start of Renaissance and the church losing its grip on people's lives. So that's it for lesson 2 of Renaissance history.